Hello, my name's Stephen Grinnell from Energy Medicine and Interex Pain Clinic, and today I'm going to talk about plantar fasciitis and footwear. Quite briefly, because I've talked quite a lot before about footwear. Now, I'm a big advocate of not wearing insoles, and the reason for that is that they act as a crutch. So they work very well for a short period of time, particularly if you're having to do a lot of standing, but walking presents lots of different issues. Now, one of the problems is that a lot of footwear is very specific to certain movements and positions. So if you're going out walking and it's very undulating ground, say you're walking through fields or you're doing more off-road walking boots are obviously very sensible and practical for that, but your foot and your ankle moves quite differently in them. If you're going to be doing exercise, then suitable shoes for that are also important. Now, the key thing to look at is with plantar fasciitis, lots of people look at the idea of cushioning and not how their foot's moving. Now, what tends to happen is when you've got a pain in your heel, the muscles of your foot go into spasm, so they all sort of shorten. So they're all half and half. This is in a relaxed state, that's in a contracted state, and they're in this sort of position. So what you want is your foot to relax more, and the best way to do that is in bare feet. So I have a big push on people having bare feet as often as possible. Now, one of the solutions to having bare feet is to have some of these. So these are known as barefoot shoes. They've got a lot less support and stability, but the key thing is that when you look at the profile, so the flatness, that is as close as you're going to get to standing in bare feet with a shoe on. So obviously you can go outside and it's very practical. Now, I've been utilising barefoot shoes for the last couple of months and had a little play around myself with using them, and I found that some surfaces not so good on, other surfaces amazing on. So they work brilliantly as a pair of slippers, particularly in this weather because it's cold. They work great to driving because you get a lot of feedback through the pedals, and they're quite relaxing in that sort of sense. If you're a gym goer, they work brilliantly in the gym. Not so much for doing cardiovascular work, so it's okay if you're on a machine like a bike or a cross trainer, but running machines, they are quite uncomfortable. So I had a little go at doing that as well. So I've trialled them. I've had some of my clients use them and they've had different results. So some people have found them super comfortable and they work brilliantly. Other people have found them sort of awkward. Now, the biggest reason that people struggle with the idea of barefoot is A, you're putting your foot down, you've got plantar fasciitis, you've got heel pain, so the idea of walking differently and using your heel is a big thing. And that's a lot of my philosophy. So how I rehabilitate people is to get them to fix the problem. So we look at altering loading and stuff like that. But what these shoes do is that they allow your foot to be at 90 degrees. So when you're wearing a pair of shoes like this, there's a lot less support. So you have to use all the muscles of your feet. So they all start to work properly and support your foot and your fascia more importantly. But also it's getting you to stand up dead square. So you're getting a 90-degree bend in your foot and ankle. So what you've got then is 90 degrees. If you wear a trainer and it's got quite a thick heel on, it's quite soft for instance, obviously that's altering your profile, which alters your weight distribution, it alters how the force comes down. But importantly, if you're trying to walk heel toe, it's much easier to walk heel toe here when you've got no heel or support than it is when you've got an inch, 2-inch type heel on your sole. So obviously within that, walking with barefoot shoes is a lot easier. So what I've had people practicing with is practicing their exercises and activity but wearing barefoot shoes, and that's worked really, really well. So what people have found is obviously they can do a little bit of walking practice outside because they've got shoes. They've got something that keeps their feet warm and everything else if they're around the house. And obviously they've got good soles and all the other bits. Now I've tried a couple of different brands. Some brands are better than others. This brand is called Morel. So it's quite a well-known make. It's a good walking shoe. They have quite an extensive range. Now with all shoes, nothing's cheap. So these are more expensive and more premium. But the quality of them is very, very good. And as I say, it's one of the number one questions I get asked. So key thing for people to have a look at is, yes, I get the fact of cushion shoes. Yes, I understand that sometimes you need to be quite pragmatic. But one of the things I would say that for plantar fasciitis, I would recommend people using a barefoot shoe like this. It doesn't have to be this one. It's just that this is the one that I'm using. And I'm going to be wearing these over the next couple of months while I'm treating people. So while I'm at the clinic at home, I've got a couple of pairs, so I'm going to be using them basically as much as I can, so that I can give a real accurate representation of how they feel. Because obviously, for me, I can have a go at doing different things in them without the risk of any injury or any problems, because I haven't got anything wrong with my feet at the minute. But it gives a lot of feedback and positivity to the clients I work with, both as a face-to-face customer, so somebody that I see in the clinic, or for people that I work with around the country and increasingly globally in an online capacity. So, key things to take away: the profile of your foot, so it's the height from there to there, so the flatter that is, the better it is for your plantar fasciitis and for your ankles. And the key thing is, if you've tried lots of different things, trying something else is sometimes just a good option. It's just finding the right thing.